We have three amazing experts here today to help you. So we have Oscar, who is going to be running you through the content. We have Richard, who is our tax expert, who will be answering all your questions in related to that. And we have Safe, who is on the question box as well. Please do ask us questions as we go along. We will try and get through as many as we can today, but please bear with us, as obviously there are lots of you on, and we do only have an hour. What we will do at the end is have a live Q&A with our three experts, where we'll run through the most frequently asked questions and go through anything you'd like to know. Last few things from me, please be aware that we do have the handouts. You can download the PDF of the slides for today to look at your own leisure. I will also send a link to our on-demand webinars where you'll see all upcoming sessions and all of our recorded sessions that you can view at your leisure. And the last thing really is to leave us some feedback. At the end of the session, you will be prompted to leave us some honest feedback. We do use this to improve and inform all of our future webinars, so please do leave us some feedback there. So I will now hand over to Oscar, who will run you through the slides, and let's get started.
Thank you very much, Danielle, and welcome everyone. So yeah, my name is Oscar. I'm an associate partner manager here, and I sit within the Pan-European FBA team. So I'm working from home, as I'm sure most of you are as well, but normally based in our Manchester office, which we sort of launched early last year. So in today's session, we're going to be talking about expanding into Europe and the great opportunity that it is. I will maybe use the word international many times today, and with that, I mean European and not worldwide. So in today's webinar, we're going to go through, we're going to talk about what Pan-European FBA is and how to sell across Europe, understanding the various implications of expanding your business internationally. We'll go through how VAT works with Pan-European FBA and what Amazon's solution for VAT is. We're very fortunate to have Richard joining us today as a tax expert from Avalara to cover some information about VAT in Europe. And then we'll finish with a Q&A to kind of go through some of the frequently asked questions today. So let's get started. So in the first section, we want to go through, what is Pan-European FBA? What are the unique benefits, and how do you benefit from it? With Pan-European FBA, you can now expand your business internationally, sell across Europe, but choose the countries where Amazon will distribute and store your inventory. So as you may recall, in the past, in the previous version of the program, you were required to authorize storage of your inventory in all 7 European countries that we had fulfillment centers in. Now, this was quite a sort of commitment, and just so that we know, it's sort of UK, Germany, France, Italy, Spain, Poland, and the Czech Republic. So that was quite a commitment. It's now different, and this is because you are the one who enables the countries where Amazon can store your products, and the requirement for having all 7 of those countries no longer exists. And that is a really important point. So we will distribute your inventory and with anticipating your customers' demands. It takes away the guesswork in inventory management, and you will pay lower fulfillment fees. This improvement of sort of flexible storage makes the adoption of the program more accessible and easier for you as a selling partner. And you can start with as many countries as you would like, and enable more when you are ready. As before, storing inventory generates VAT requirements of registration and filing, but we'll have a dedicated section later in the webinar on this. So let's take some time to sort of look a little bit more on the benefits of the program. So I think the key thing here is to figure out, what is required for you to enroll onto Pan-European FBA. These are the following key steps that you'll need to go through. The first is to ensure that you're FBA eligible products are being actively listed in all 4 of our main European stores. So that's Germany, France, Italy, and Spain. And this is an essential condition to get the Pan-EU benefits. You then need to enable the countries that you would like Amazon to store your products in and be able to redistribute your products across to. You can either do this by going to your Fulfillment by Amazon settings, so settings Fulfillment by Amazon, and then there's a section called cross-border fulfillment settings, or you can simply add additional VAT numbers into your Seller Central, and this will automatically enable sort of storage. So by enabling Pan-European FBA, you're going to get the flexible storage, you're going to get fast delivery at the lowest cost, and we will cover this a little bit more in the next slide. With no inventory management work from your side. So you send into one country and we will redistribute across the rest. So it's a much easier solution for you for managing stock placement across Europe. And it can lead up to sort of 30% boost in sales. And there's no reason why it couldn't be more. So together with the fast delivery, savings in fulfillment fees will allow you to grow your business beyond your goals. As you may already know, fulfillment fees can vary according to the position of your storage, but also the program that you decide to use. Keep in mind that once you become a pan-European seller and enable more than one country for placement, only in the countries where storage is enabled will you get the local fulfillment fees. Alternatively, fulfillment can happen sort of across the border, and you'll pay what we call the European Fulfillment Network cross-border fee. Be aware that your savings could be up to sort of 53% when sort of factoring in the difference between the European Fulfillment Network fee and the local fee. So this is a good example here. If you're a UK business partner, you're sending into Spain, but you've also enabled storage in Germany, which means once you've got your products into Spain, Amazon's able to move some of those products to Germany. You're going to get a savings of for each order that's fulfilled in Germany of €3.51, which over a lot of sales can add up to be quite a considerable saving. Now, we appreciate it can be difficult to calculate your potential sort of fulfillment cost savings with Pan-EU. So we have generated a tool that sort of does it for you. And it's called the Pan-EU cost savings page. And it allows you to see the potential fulfillment cost savings if you were to enable additional countries for inventory placement. So remember that the local fulfillment fees are only applied in countries where the inventory is going to be stored. So do check out this page to see what you could be saving. A sort of, I guess, pro tip would be, if you're looking at I guess, more sort of phased expansion into Europe, where you're starting with a couple countries for local placement, and then doing the European Fulfillment Network to the others. This page would be really good to kind of keep monitoring to understand at what point your sales in those countries that you're doing the European Fulfillment Network into are now high enough that the savings to enable local storage can justify getting VAT registered there and making it a more productive option for you. So I would recommend keeping this page as a bookmark. When enabling Pan-European FBA, in your cross-border settings, you will see a sort of tick box that says sort of enable automatic listing creation. This enables what we call the Build International Listing tool. So This tool allows you to transfer offers from a source marketplace, so for example, the UK, to a target marketplace, let's say Germany. However, this only works when the ASIN that you're looking to transfer the offer on already exists in that target marketplace. Typically, this is because someone has listed it before, but there are also sort of internal processes where we're trying to add catalog across to different countries. So it's worth trying, but I would sort of want to note that, if you are a brand owner, this tool may not be the most appropriate method of creating listings across Europe. In addition, there's a feature of the tool that can be used to sort of generate pricing rules, which can be really helpful. This could be, a percentage increase or sort of flat rate above or below the source offer price, which can help you, mitigate any kind of additional costs or currency exchange rates, etc. Now, as the ASINs already exist in the target marketplace when this tool sort of is functioning, it is able to use the listing information for your sort of detail page in turn. So it kind of translates the offer. But I would say it is always worth having the translations reviewed by a sort of native speaker. Having a detail page that reads naturally is critical to driving sales across Europe. It's going to build trust in you as a seller, and it's also going to limit misunderstandings from customers that will ultimately help protect your account health. And I think that's a small point that is actually quite important. So I would definitely make sure to really double down and make sure your detail pages are translated well from the start. So some products may have a flag as ineligible for Pan-European FBA. You can find these on the Pan-European FBA inventory page. So that's reachable by going to inventory and then down to Pan-EU inventory. A common cause for this is that the product requires sort of multi-language labeling or packaging in order to be compliant with EU legislation. And therefore allow Amazon to move the products around on Pan-European FBA. The key guidance for ensuring you are compliant with this type of ineligibility is that all mandatory information needs to be provided at both point of sale, i.e. the website, and point of delivery. So very, very particular there. Certain products such as alcohol, unfortunately, just aren't eligible to be on Pan-EU for various reasons. So now just going to kind of briefly go into sort of an introduction to VAT, and I'm sure Richard will go into a bit more and clarifying some of the points later. Yeah, so VAT is a consumption tax. It's borne ultimately by the final consumer, so it's not a charge on businesses. The seller of the goods, who is the sort of taxable person, pays VAT to the revenue authorities. As a seller, when do you need a VAT registration number and to file VAT, a VAT tax declaration? There are both common and specific triggers for VAT registration obligations. Some of the most common activities that trigger a mandatory VAT registration and sort of compliance obligation can include sort of importing goods into EU countries and the UK from outside of Europe, which will ultimately trigger VAT requirements. Storing goods in EU countries and the UK, this trigger VAT requirements in the countries where the goods are stored, either by you or by other third-party facilities on your behalf, and selling to EU customers from another EU country above a distance selling threshold. So this is another trigger that can happen. So this is something to factor in if you are using that European fulfillment network method, where you're selling into a country but you're not storing there yet. If your sales into that country go over a certain amount, then you may need to look to get VAT registered. You can find everything you kind of need to know on these two links that we've sort of provided here. I would definitely recommend having a good look through them, just so that you are, fully understanding of what kind of VAT obligations you may have when going into Europe. So Amazon's solution for VAT, sort of VAT services on Amazon, shows its commitment in supporting selling partners in expanding their business in Europe. We have formed partnerships with experienced tax agents, such as Avalara, making this solution the choice to take for addressing VAT registration requirements in a simple and cost-effective way. So why choose VAT services on Amazon? Well, for a limited time, the first year subscription is free, and then from the second year, you pay only a monthly fee of starting around about 33 euros per country to address your existing VAT requirements. It's simple. You only need to provide us with the data and the documentation that we will request based on the countries that you choose. And then VAT services on Amazon will take care of the complex, costly, and time-consuming processes for you. And you can receive constant customer support and guidance through our sort of whole VAT registration process. So the services provided cover and support the selling partner sort of on all topics. Easy and intuitive VAT registration directly through Seller Central, which I think is quite a good benefit in that you're centralizing your European activities on Amazon into Seller Central. It's a worry-free solution in your sort of preparation and submission of VAT filings, which are all done on your behalf. And in the event of any regulatory changes in VAT matters, there will be a constant heads up country by country. So how do we sort of join VAT services on Amazon? Well, there's four sort of easy steps to sort of join and start registering. So the first would be to go to the registration page. You can go to this by going to reports and then manage your VAT. Then simply sort of confirm your company information, and you'll then see further down the page there'll be an option to select which countries you'd like to register for VAT. If you already have a VAT number in a country and would like to use VAT services on Amazon for filings, then you can enter your existing VAT number and initiate just filings only. Once you've sort of filled in that information, you sort of click agree and continue, and then your 1 year free promotion will sort of automatically be applied. You'll then be directed to a dashboard, and there you can start uploading all the documents that are required for your registration. Once you have submitted all the required documents, the tax agent, so Avalara, will submit this to the tax authorities, and here is a kind of estimated time frame when you would receive your VAT number. Avalara's role as your tax agent is sort of submitting documents for the registration and preparing your filings, sending notifications to the tax authorities on any change in circumstances, assisting with any tax authority questions or audits, but they will not be able to offer tax advice. To complete your VAT filings, you need to sort of complete 5 steps. So the first is to review your product tax file. The product tax file contains the details of all of your products that have been sold, refunded, or returned in any of your VAT services on Amazon filing countries within the past 3 months. Excuse me. You then need to review Amazon VAT transactions. refunds, returns, credits, EU cross-border stock movements, purchases or imports. It can also already contain your Amazon sale and refund transactions in case you have not activated VAT calculation services. You need to add your off-Amazon transactions so that they can be included in your monthly filings. The next step is to just review the draft filings, where you can see a summary of your VAT liability for each country, as well as the status and deadline for each filing. So it's a really good way of keeping on top of things. And then make your VAT payment. After your VAT filings have been generated by your tax agent, you'll be able to see your VAT payment due and the payment deadline for each respective country in the sort of VAT Services and Amazon portal. This payment is not automated. You will have to make this payment yourself, and they will provide the details of how you make that payment and where you make that payment to. So I appreciate I've gone through quite a lot of information there. Tried to do it, not rush too much, but want to leave enough time for us to have Richard on and do some Q&A. So that's the end from my side of things. Do keep putting in questions. I will now hand over to Richard from Avalara to give us some more background on VAT.
Hi everyone. Thanks very much for that, Oscar. I'd like to say I'm going to lighten the mood after Oscar's intensive run through of the options there, but not always possible. It turns out Brexit wasn't as easy as perhaps we were promised, but nevertheless, now that we're into week 8 of full Brexit, the end of the transition period, at the end of 31st of December 2020. I'll just get through a couple of the big headlines. Most of these you'll know. You're obviously well advanced already with coping with the changes as a result of Brexit, but maybe I'll just call out a couple of interesting pieces that we get asked about regularly, and that businesses, traders, sellers like you have stumbled across since in January and February. So next, please. That's me, Richard Asquith, pre-lockdown days when I used to wash and clean and scrub up and shave and do all that stuff. Don't worry, the tax guidance is still up to date and still fresh, unlike my photo perhaps. So next slide, please. There's too much to go through today. There's too many changes, and it's still evolving. And it's amazing. Just this morning, I was getting updates from Belgium on some of the requirements around fiscal representation. They've changed their rules just this morning. No doubt we'll come on to that. So just another resource to add online. We have a hub, as we call it. It's just a nice collection of lots of free information download guides on the changes that have come about. There's a special e-commerce guide there, which might be particularly relevant. But I think the most interesting thing there, as you can see up there, it's the essential VAT customs tips. We blog regularly as we learn something new from a seller who's had a problem, or if we hear something new from the tax authority. So always keep an eye on that, because that's the hot new advice. So very briefly, 2 big changes that came through with the end of the transition period. Number one, the VAT obligations. You're familiar with this. Oscar's talked about some of the problems there. The essential big 2 headlines are import VAT, moving your goods from the UK into the EU, moving it to one of the Amazon fulfillment centers. You're going to incur import VAT there. The good news is there is facilities postpone VAT accounting. One word of warning, not all countries' PVAs, as we call them, are the same. So be very cautious about how you manage them there. But obviously, Avalara, being your VAT agent, will help you through that process. And extra VAT registrations, that's the other big call out. I think Oscar touched on it. Some of the thresholds, if you're selling, for example, from the UK, your stock's leaving the UK to a French or German consumer, you could sell under the UK's distance selling threshold rules, which was part of the EU VAT regime, until you hit the local registration threshold, and typically the thresholds were 100,000 euros for Germany, and France it was 35,000 euros. Unfortunately, they've now have gone. So we actually, even if you weren't already signed up for FBA and PAN, we would suggest it anyway to do something like that. Get your goods over into the EU, get them through the customs clearance, VAT issues, so you don't have a bad experience there for your customers. Then the second big change is you see there, customs, two words there, declarations and tariffs. So you'll all be familiar now, if you're shipping goods over into the EU, you're going to have to complete a customs declaration there. That's basic information about, as you can imagine, what's the goods, what's the weight, what's the description, who you are, where the goods are arriving from, commodity codes, that sort of level of detail. The big sting in the tail, I think, from the trade and cooperation agreement that the EU struck on literally Christmas Eve with the EU was it was billed as no tariffs, but obviously, as we've all painfully come to realize, that's not quite true. You're going to have to prove that your goods originated from inside the UK, otherwise you're going to get stung with EU tariffs. I'm sure the Amazon materials have got lots of guidance on that, and so has the Avalara Brexit Hub has some information on that. So just manage it, be very careful. But again, it's all about the messages, get your goods over into the EU before you start selling, so you can avoid all these problems and nasty shocks for your customers. Next slide, please. Okay, so I've just got two very brief slides now, which just cover some of probably what's number one and number two at the moment in our inboxes at Avalara, the questions we get from you sellers. There's lots, but I think these are the top two or so. Number one, economic operator registration identification number. It's quite a mouthful, but it's very, very important you understand this. If you're shipping goods from the UK into the EU, on the customs declaration, you're going to have one of these numbers, an EORI number, which, again, I'm sure you all understand, is the unique identification number that you have with the EU tax authorities. If you're in the UK, HMRC should have given you by now your GB EORI number. Now, the difficulty here is lots of the tax authorities are now enforcing a law that's been in place for 10 years, but wasn't strictly adhered to in the past, and that is that the EU EORI number must be associated with an EU resident address or an individual, and you can't just be a GB company, a UK company with an EU EORI number. So what you're going to need is an indirect customs representative, and it's something that Avalara does. So obviously,